Hello everyone. So today we are going to be continuing our Empires A to Z series by looking at a scenario where Austria forms an empire. Now wait a minute, I know what you're thinking. Austria has already been an empire before. Well, you're right, but this series isn't about the past, it's about the future. So we're going to be making Austria into an empire starting from today. Anyways, Austria is a landlocked country in Central Europe. It is enveloped by the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, Italy, Switzerland, the microstate of Liechtenstein, and Germany. Located in the west and center of the country, approximately 60% of Austria's territory is mountainous and belongs to the Eastern Alps. To the north are the rolling hills of the Bohemian Massif, but the majority of the Austrian population lives in the large plains between these two regions along the Danube River. Austria has a population of over 9 million people, and it's the 43rd largest economy in the world. Before we begin, I want to address a few things about this scenario. The main thing is I think it's important that I remind everyone that NATO and the European Union are not a thing in these videos. Austria is surrounded by NATO and EU members that would instantly trigger those alliances if they went to war with anyone. So we need to get rid of those alliances in order to allow Austria to do anything. Austria today may be a nation committed to peace, but peaceful nations aren't likely to create empires. So we need to change some things. First off, the Austrian population is going to see a shift in their mindset from peaceful doves to war hawks. This is going to lead to mass support for completely removing the provisions for permanent neutrality from the Austrian constitution. Led by Ferdinand Habsburg, popular support for the Habsburg law to be rescinded soon follows, and Ferdinand states his intentions to bring Austria to its former glory. He runs a successful campaign for the presidency and reforms the nation into a constitutional monarchy, with himself being the first king on the throne in over a century. King Ferdinand's first act is to set up pro-monarchy parties in the former territories of the Austrian Empire in order to prepare various populations for his return. He follows this up by announcing the expansion of the Austrian armed forces. This allows the army to augment its forces with new main battle tanks, armored personnel carriers, and anti-air systems. Meanwhile, the Air Force is going to add to the existing multi-role fighter fleet, as well as procure light combat fighters, tactical airlifters, and UAV systems. As the new Austria builds up its military, Slovenia's government outlaws Ferdinand's pro-monarchy party in the country. With his imperial desires in danger of failing before they even begin, he decides to obtain them by force and plans to put his new military to the test in the process. Austria declares war on Slovenia and invades on two fronts. The main offensive pushes into the west and takes the town of Jesenice to secure the hard crossings of the Sava River. They push on to take the town of Kron and advance on the capital of Ljubljana. Meanwhile, the eastern column invades and quickly takes the city of Maribor in the east before pushing south and west to take the critical population centers of Vilinje and Celje. The main column engages the small Slovenian army in the outskirts of Ljubljana, but the Slovenes are no match for the Austrian forces. The Slovenian defenders surrender, and Austria takes the capital. Slovenia then capitulates, and Austria annexes the entire country for itself. With his military gaining critical combat experience in Slovenia, Ferdinand begins looking to secure the capital of Vienna, which is dangerously close to Austria's borders. He orders the Austrian armed forces to ready itself for war, and declares war on the Czech Republic. Austrian forces roll across the border and begin heading for Brno. They take the city, but the Czech military begins a counteroffensive of their own towards Linz. Worried that the Austrian king's ambition might turn to them, Slovakia joins the Czech Republic and declares war on Austria. Slovak troops cross the border into Austria and push on the lightly defended eastern suburbs of Vienna. With their capital in serious risk of falling, Austrian troops across the front lines go on the defensive, while reinforcements are called up to defend the capital. Austrian forces put up a stout defense at Vienna International Airport, which allows reinforcements to arrive and cut off the Slovakian troops. With the majority of Slovakia's ground forces trapped in a pocket along the Danube, Austria sends its forces into western Slovakia and begins a siege of the capital, Bratislava. Troops in Brno begin their next offensive and take the city of Olomouc. The Slovakian forces trapped in the Danube pocket surrender, and thousands of Austrian troops are sent east to overrun the Slovakian capital. Bratislava falls, and the Austrian offensive pushes to take Nitra and Trenčín. Encountering little resistance, Austrian forces continue their push east through Slovakia to take Košice, forcing Slovakia to capitulate. Leaving just enough troops to guard the territory, the majority of Austria's troops in Slovakia are transferred to the Linz front. Austrian troops in Olomouc began pushing for Ostrava, but the Czech defense proves to be difficult to outmaneuver. Austria's forces break the front lines at Linz and push to successfully take Česká Budějovice. Following a strategic bombardment of the defenses around Ostrava, the city falls, and Austrian troops begin a general offensive to take Prague. The western flank takes Pilsen, while the eastern flank takes Hradec Králové. Czech forces put up a stout defense of the capital, but Prague eventually falls and the Czech Republic capitulates. With peace achieved, Ferdinand appoints pro-monarchy leaders in both nations and rewrites the constitutions of both nations to turn them into constitutional monarchies. Both nations are then renamed to the Kingdom of Czechia and the Kingdom of Slovakia, with himself assuming the throne for both nations. The new additions to the Kingdom of Austria more than double the territory and population of the throne. While the Austrian bureaucrats diligently work, Ferdinand refocuses funding into pro-monarchy parties in Hungary and Croatia. In Hungary, this results in the pro-monarchy party taking control over the government. The pro-monarchy government calls for referendums to restore the monarchy, which pass enthusiastically. With the throne of Hungary recreated, Hungary requests that Ferdinand assume the position of king. Ferdinand agrees and adds King of Hungary to his list of titles. Meanwhile, the same result is not found in Croatia. Similar to Hungary, the pro-monarchy parties gain a large following, but on the day of the referendum, the Croatian armed forces stage a coup and cancel the referendum. Tens of thousands of pro-monarchy protesters march in Zagreb, but the military government cracks down hard. Austria issues a warning to return to civilian rule and allow the referendum, or Austria will be forced to get involved. The Croatian government refuses, and Austria declares war. Austrian forces quickly advance into Croatia to take Varaždin, while also advancing on the capital of Zagreb. Croatian forces blow many of the bridges along the Sava River, while also heavily defending the roads to the northeast to deny a swift victory to the invaders. While parts of the Austrian army are forced to slog through the northeast defenses, several units push into the west of Croatia. They take the port towns of Rijeka and Pula, as well as taking the city of Karlovac. The forces working the coast take Zadar and cut off Dalmatia from the rest of Croatia. Hungarian forces invade to take Osek before taking much of the Slavonian countryside. An armored division advancing out of Karlovac strikes east and takes the town of Sisak, giving the forces in the west a crossing over the Sava River to the south of Zagreb. Hungarian forces push west and help secure the crossing, forcing several Croatian defenders to transfer to the southeastern front. Austrian forces in the north are able to begin pushing south again, and the front line steadily advances on Zagreb. With the capital completely surrounded, Austrian and Hungarian units push in and take the city. In the peace deal, Croatia is turned into an independent kingdom, with Ferdinand placed on the throne. With the thrones of Austria, Hungary, Czechia, Slovakia, and Croatia now entitled to Ferdinand, he renames his domain as the Austrian Empire and elevates himself to the title of Emperor. The loss of an independent Croatia causes the political situation in the Balkans to drift further towards instability. Fearful that the Austrian Empire will invade their lands, Serbia and Romania sign a defense agreement called the Danubian Alliance. This causes a ripple effect, as Bosnia fears that Serbia might stoke the hostile Serbian populace in Bosnia to start a war. Bosnia looks for an ally and finds one in Bulgaria. Meanwhile, Albania signs a defensive pact with the Serbian breakaway Republic of Kosovo. Albania then backs this up by signing defensive pacts with both Bulgaria and Bosnia, creating the Second Balkan Entente. Fearing that Bulgaria might push to retake North Macedonian land for its goal of a Greater Bulgaria, North Macedonia then joins the Danubian Alliance with Serbia and Romania. Finally, the Austrian Empire signs a separate defensive pact with Bulgaria in an attempt to tip the scales in favor of peace. As the Balkan Alliance systems are set up, another powder keg is created and just waits for the right incident to light the fuse. That powder keg is lit when Serbia decides to reassert its control over Kosovo. Serbia sends troops into Kosovo, which trips Albania's alliance with Kosovo and calls Bulgaria and Bosnia into the war. With Serbia being declared war on by 3 of its neighbors, both North Macedonia and Romania declare war on the other members of the Second Balkan Entente. Bulgaria calls on the Austrian Empire to honor its commitment, and Ferdinand decides to enter the conflict on the side of the Second Balkan Entente. At the start of the Third Balkan War, Serbian troops begin the war by driving into Kosovo. Kosovan troops fight a delaying action to try to hold the capital of Pristina, but Serbian forces prove to be too much for the defenders. Kosovo moves its capital Prizren, and Albanian forces put a stop to the Serbian advance to the north of the city. Bulgaria's first offensive takes the Serbian town of Parad, but the entrance of Romania forces Bulgaria to shift troops to defend the border cities of Vidin and Ruse. Romania also attacks into the lightly defended eastern Hungarian plains. Meanwhile, the Bosnian frontier erupts as the Serbian-backed Republic of Srpska declares its independence and launches attacks to try to take the Bosnian capital of Sarajevo. The Austrian Empire begins the war by sending troops to stabilize Bosnia and to contain the advance by Romania to the east. Through sheer force of numbers and technology, they quickly destroy most armed resistance in North Bosnia by taking Banja Luka and Bricko. Austria also launches an attack into Serbia to take the city of Subotica. In the south, Bulgaria launches its main offensive into North Macedonia, where it quickly destroys the Macedonian army and takes the capital of Skopje. North Macedonia forms a government in exile in Belgrade, but they are removed from the war for the most part. On the Bosnian front, Srpska troops take the cities of Dubrovnik and Mostar, but the attacks only serve to deprive them of much-needed manpower around Sarajevo, as Bosnian troops push the Serbs back. Austrian troops in northern Serbia push to take the town of Sombor before blitzing south to besiege the city of Novi Sad. Romanian troops push into Bulgaria and take the city of Dobrit and begin to threaten Varna before Bulgarian troops halt their advance. Austrian troops begin a counteroffensive into eastern Hungary to retake the land lost to Romania, which is highly successful. They press the attack and take the cities of Oradea and Arad before expanding their positions into western Transylvania. Bulgaria restarts its attack into southeastern Serbia and pushes to take the city of Niš. Meanwhile, Albanian and Kosovan troops push into Pristina and retake the city through deadly street-to-street fighting. Austrian troops in northern Serbia begin to advance to the southeast towards Belgrade, but Serbia destroys the bridges over the Danube, removing the route to its capital. Austrian forces instead work with Bosnia to retake the city of Tuzla, before recapturing the cities of Mostar and Dubrovnik. Through coordinated attacks, they push the Serb troops out of Bosnia altogether and begin entering Serbia from the west. Novi Sad falls to Austrian forces, and the Austrian Empire directs its offensive to take Timisoara in western Romania. Austrian troops in Transylvania take Cluj-Napoca and begin heading for Brasov. Bulgarian troops retake Dobrik and take Constanza. Austrian and Bosnian troops begin to invade western Serbia and take the city of Sabac, while Allied forces to the south take Grujevac. Bulgaria begins an offensive from Constanza west towards the Romanian capital Bucharest, while the Austrian Empire takes Brasov and secures much of the area west of the Carpathians. With the writing now on the wall, Romania sues for peace and capitulates. Serbia finds itself now standing alone with invaders on all sides. With its capital constantly receiving artillery from the north bank of the Danube River, Serbia sues for peace and capitulates as well. The peace conference is held in Paris, where the winners divide the spoils. Bulgaria annexes the eastern 3/5 of North Macedonia up to the Treska River, as well as some Bulgarian majority border territory from Serbia. Bulgaria also gains Romanian territory south of the Danube Black Sea Canal. Initially, Kosovo is granted its independence, but following a referendum, Kosovo decides to join Albania. Albania also secures the remaining territory of North Macedonia. Bosnia secures the complete elimination of the Republic of Srpska on its territory, and many Serbian residents decide to relocate to Serbia itself. The Austrian Empire receives all the territory north of the Danube from Serbia, as well as all of Romania's territory west of the Carpathian Mountains. And that about does it for Austria. I have to say, writing and recording this scenario was a lot of fun. While this Austria may look similar to the Austrian Empire of our timeline, it certainly got there in a much different manner this time. I do want to mention that I had a lot of other ideas workshopped for this video, but I just couldn't fit it all in without this being a 30-minute video. Maybe if this video gets enough likes, I'll look at doing a part 2 in the future. So if you want to see a part 2 to this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and comment below telling me what you think of this Austrian Empire and if you want a part 2. Anyways, I'll see you next time as we wrap up Season A and turn Azerbaijan into an empire in Empires A to Z.